Yes, lies, damn lies, and Sadiq Khan's statistics. In a week where Simon Levy has finally been convicted of yet another sexually motivated murder in London, we pause for thought, I think, because we are often told something by our illustrious mayor. Here we go.
We are, one of the safest, mega cities in the world.
Absolutely not, no.
I have heard that people are robbing phones every month, some thousands of phones, so how can you say it's safe?
I always feel quite safe. I think it's a very busy city, there's always people around.
Well, there you go. This is GB News Originals. I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
I always feel quite safe in London.
Well, mixed reviews there, shall we say. Sadiq Khan has been mayor since 2016, and his detractors, of which I am one, would say that he has presided over one of the most divisive and disingenuous periods of politics in regional history when it comes to London. We are told, as he said then, that London is one of the safest major cities in the world. First things first, I don't want London to be compared with the worst or most stabby place across the globe. I want London to stand alone as a safe place, a brothers keepers town where we all keep an eye out for one another. We know who the baddies are, we know who the goodies are, and the police get on with their job. Now, he will point to year-on-year statistics, because year-on-year, sometimes the statistics are in his favour. If you take 2025 versus 2026, it has dropped down. But if you take 2016 versus 2026, knife crime is up by 40%. That is enormous, and that's just knife crime. And statistics don't tell us one thing. They don't tell us how people feel. Statistics don't prevent you from not being able to get your phone out, not being able to put your bike somewhere without a lock, not allowing your wife or girlfriend or daughter or auntie to walk home alone at night. So I ask, why aren't we demanding better from the Mayor of London? Why are we arguing over carefully selected statistics instead of demanding a capital where everyone actually feels safe?
It's a good question, Paul. And Pablo, Paul did say he doesn't want London to be compared to the worst, stabbiest cities in the world. I agree with him, but you don't need to compare London to the worst, stabbiest cities. According to most of the safety indices, it ranks low to middle when it comes to global safety, below a lot of other European cities. For him to somehow say that this is a safe city is gaslighting, surely.
No, I think actually two things can be true at once. I think it can be true that London is like lots of cities, a busy place with lots of people where lots of things go wrong. It is also a great city where lots of things are going right. And it can be true that there are issues like this, but murders are down, violent incidents are down. It isn't true to say that on all the statistics that crime and violence is getting worse in London, but it is a big city where things are going to get wrong. And I think that, the Metropolitan Police, they've acknowledged their failings and, they've got to be held accountable for that. I think to say that this is gaslighting, I think is unfair.
Can I pick up on the murder statistic? Because it is the one that Sadiq always grabs at to say, well, look, everything is rosy. And I'd be very worried in a Western city if murder rates aren't continuously going down as you become more advanced and technology improves. But the fact is that knife crime has gone up since he started, sexual assaults have gone up, theft has gone up, or shoplifting has gone up. These are the key things that people worry about in the day-to-day, and they're the things that are getting worse.
Well, actually, I don't know that is the truth. The statistics that I saw that those were going down in the last year, despite a population going up.
Well, I'm looking at Statista, which sounds statistically accurate if you got the name.
Well, the statistics that I saw reported were slightly different. But listen, I think the principle is we all obviously want a safe capital city. It is a big city. There are always going to be problems. I don't think that we should be labelling, we should be taking one incident like this and spreading it across the city. I just don't think that's a fair thing to do, even for the Metropolitan
It's amazing. The left always talk about lived experience. Londoners, but what about people's lived experience of being in London? I know
Touche.
so many. I mean, women certainly don't feel as safe as they did 10 years ago. When I was recently in Budapest, I felt so much safer walking around the streets of Budapest at night than walking around the streets of London. I would be very nervous walking around at like 1 a.m. by myself if I didn't have a man with me. People don't wear their jewellery or their watches anymore. People are having their phones snatched out of their hands. I see it all the time. I saw someone getting mugged for a steak a couple of years ago outside of a co-op in North London, a very nice part of North London. This is people's experience of their daily lives, and the point is that, you know, when you think the police aren't going to bother to solve the burglary or do anything about the shoplifting or do anything about your phone being snatched, you're not going to report it, and it's not going to be reflected in those statistics. I was just in Trafalgar Square just yesterday, and they've now put up these enormous kind of counter-terrorism barriers with these sort of big eyesore yellow gates, doorways that you have to walk through in order to get into Trafalgar Square.
Can we use the correct expression? They are diversity gates.
Diversity gates. Well, it's defensive architecture, and you see it now all over London.
So Sadiq Khan is telling us without telling us where the problem lies. Sadiq Khan's favourite line is diversity is our strength. What he never tells us is diversity from what? What are we diversifying away from? Well, we are clearly diversifying away from an incumbent native culture that no longer exists. And he is telling us the very reason why we are seeing such a crime epidemic.
I disagree. I mean, it's a complex one. I disagree with what you said. It's sort of sense that diversity is the reason why London's become what it was. London's always been a bit of a dicey city. Come on, let's be honest.
I'll be very clear about
Shakespeare
this.
himself described across the river.
So, Trey, let's go at sexual offences, and this is from the Telegraph as well, just so we're clear on where we're getting our sources from, Pablo. It's gone up 60% since he became mayor in 2016. If not diversity, why has it gone up to that enormous degree?
I think it would only make sense if there were people from diverse backgrounds actually doing it, but there's literally men are the danger. It's not a particular type of men, it's just men. And I do agree with them. Look, listen, on the one hand, you have to give them these flowers. Look, some of the official stats have gone better. But what I do agree with them is every time my wife is out, I have to admit I'm terrified, because the way she describes her experience of London is actually scary. She gets followed, she gets harassed and the rest of it. So I do get that. But I do think there's another side though. I think there is a lot of talking down of London, and London is not as bad as what people make it seem.
You've just said you're terrified when your wife goes out on her own.
Yeah, but again, it is a terror that is brought up by hearing of stories. But in terms of the actual stats,
but no,
the stats in terms of
your wife's experience, it's my experience too. It's the experience of all of my female friends.
No, exactly. But this is what I mean. If things haven't yet happened to her, right? But she has a fear of it. And that's the bit that I think we could do better in terms of women's safety in London. But some of the stats have get better. You guys, you have to admit, if that was someone from Reform, a Reform mayor, surely you'd be celebrating that at this point, right?
No,
with those stats.
I genuinely would not be celebrating the crime statistics in London, irrespective of who the mayor was politically aligned to. And I deliberately put in my monologue that it's year-on-year comparison which work in Sadiq Khan's favour.
Yeah.
It's gone incredibly exponentially high in his time, but what he's been able to point at is actually in one of those years it was less than the one before. So it's incredibly dangerous. It just happened to be that last year it was slightly more dangerous than it is now.
I've lived in London. I'm from London. I've lived in London for my whole life. 10 years ago, never saw people walking around with machetes in the open, but I see it reasonably frequently now.
Well, to play devil's advocate, though, he has been remarkably successful politically, Paul.
London crime statistics and the battle over public perception. Welcome to Britain Underneath, where we peel back the polished veneer of British politics to examine the realities governing our everyday lives. Before we dive into the core of today's analysis, do take a brief moment to subscribe to the channel and join our growing community of thoughtful viewers. Your support enables us to continue producing independent, high-standard commentary on the issues that truly matter. Let us begin. There is a distinct and growing disconnect running through the heart of the capital city today. A split between the cold authority of official spreadsheets and the lived experience of millions who navigate these streets every single day. On paper, the official narrative presented by City Hall paints a picture of progress and quiet reassurance. We are routinely told that major crime figures, particularly homicides and specific categories of serious violence, have reached notable lows compared to previous years. The Mayor of London points to targeted policing strategies, significant financial investments into the Metropolitan Police, and community prevention schemes as clear evidence that the capital remains one of the safest major metropolitan areas in the Western world. Yet, if you step outside the controlled environment of press releases and listen to the conversations taking place in taxis, local shops, and commuter trains, a vastly different emotional picture emerges. This fundamental tension raises a crucial question for anyone observing modern British governance. Are we experiencing a genuine era of improving safety? Or are we witnessing a masterclass in the selective presentation of statistics designed to obscure a deeper social malaise? To understand why this debate has become so intensely charged, one must look at the types of offences that shape public feeling. While the most extreme outcomes, such as homicide, are meticulously tracked and represent the hard metric by which global cities are judged, the average person rarely measures their personal safety by homicide rates alone. Instead, public sentiment is built upon daily exposure to low-level disorder, phone snatches, opportunistic thefts, street harassment, and the visible presence of antisocial behaviour. When individuals feel hesitant to hold a mobile phone on a busy pavement, or worry about family members walking home after dusk, statistical declarations of overall safety ring hollow. If you are finding this deep dive insightful, please subscribe to Britain Underneath to ensure you never miss our upcoming political investigations. Critics argue that comparing immediate short-term data against historical spikes creates an illusion of perpetual improvement, while ignoring long-term structural changes. When political leaders highlight that a specific offence category has fallen by a small percentage compared to the previous 12 months, they are technically accurate within that isolated frame of reference. However, when observers examine broader timeframes spanning the last decade, they often point out that baseline figures for specific crimes, including street robberies and weapon-related offences, remain considerably higher than they were in earlier eras. This creates a persistent political tug-of-war. Supporters of the current administration accuse opponents of spreading fear and weaponising isolated incidents for political gain, arguing that sensationalist reporting undermines trust in essential public institutions. On the other hand, detractors argue that relying strictly on aggregated numbers overlooks the systemic underreporting of minor crimes, where citizens simply refrain from contacting authorities because they anticipate little to no investigative follow-up. This breakdown in reporting creates a quiet, statistical blind spot. When the public loses faith in the likelihood of minor offences being investigated or prosecuted, fewer reports are lodged. Concurrently, fewer recorded offences allow administrators to claim a reduction in overall incidents, creating a feedback loop that satisfies administrative targets while leaving communities feeling increasingly vulnerable. Furthermore, the modern urban environment itself has adapted to this underlying anxiety. The gradual appearance of heavy security infrastructure, increased surveillance measures, and restrictive measures across high-traffic retail areas serves as a silent acknowledgement that public spaces require constant protection. It presents a striking contradiction. A city is declared safer by official channels, yet its physical architecture increasingly reflects a need for defensive vigilance. To remain fully updated on the shifting dynamics of UK political discourse, please hit the subscribe button for Britain Underneath right now. This divergence between official data and personal perception is further complicated by the role of modern media and political commentary. In an age dominated by rapid news cycles and digital platforms, dramatic footage of street incidents can reach hundreds of thousands of people within hours. For many, seeing video evidence of a crime taking place in broad daylight carries far greater weight than a formal report published by a government agency months after the fact. Media analysts argue that this constant stream of visual evidence creates an exaggerated sense of danger, making isolated events appear ubiquitous. Conversely, social commentators argue that these clips provide an unvarnished look at reality that formal statistics routinely smooth over. Both arguments contain elements of truth, illustrating how difficult it has become to establish a shared consensus on the state of law and order in contemporary Britain. Underneath the political sparring lies a deeper question regarding the primary duty of governance. A successful public policy framework must do more than simply achieve favourable numerical outcomes on an administrative chart. It must foster a genuine sense of order and trust among the populace. When a significant portion of the population feels compelled to alter their daily routines out of caution, the social contract is tested, regardless of what the official totals indicate. Addressing this requires more than defensive rhetoric or dismissive political rebuttals. It demands a clear-eyed reassessment of how success is defined, ensuring that street-level policing, visible deterrence, and the prompt resolution of everyday offences are given the same strategic priority as high-level statistical targets. Please take a breath, stay informed, and subscribe to Britain Underneath so we can continue to bring you clear, balanced, and uncompromising political analysis. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. If you appreciate insightful, high-standard commentary on the real issues facing the United Kingdom, make sure to subscribe to Britain Underneath and join us for our next release.